He always made you feel guilty after hurting you. The first time it happened, you thought maybe it was just a misunderstanding. He said something that really hurt you. You woke up you woke up the courage to tell him how you feel, hoping he did listen and get it. Instead, he went quiet for a second, let out a big shot, and started talking about how hard his life had been. Before you knew it, the whole conversation wasn't about your pain anymore, it was about his feelings. By the end of it, you were the one saying, I'm sorry. You walked away confused, wondering how it even got turned around like that. If this is your first time of coming across my channel, you're welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Please subscribe, click on the notification button, like and share. And to my subscribers, I love you so much, so much. You figured it you figured it was just a bad day. Everyone messes up and every relationship has argument. So you choose to forgive him and move on. You told yourself things would get better if you loved him more, stayed more, and be more patient and tried harder to understand him. But then it happened again. Anytime he lets you down, he found a way to make you feel bad for bringing it up. If he forgot an important promise he said you were asking for too much. If his words made you cry, he said you were too sensitive. If you asked for something honestly, he accused you of not trusting him. Somehow, every conversation ended with you taking the blame while he walked away without owing anything. Little by little, you stopped saying how you felt. You started thinking twice before speaking before because you already knew how it would end. You were scared that bringing up your hurt would just turn things into another fight. So you stayed quiet, hoping would walk, hoping silence would keep the peace, but it didn't. The silence just made things feel heavier. You smile around other people, but inside you were carrying around questions with no answers. Why didn't you always feel guilty? Why did every argument leave you feeling worse? Why did you keep apologizing when all you wanted was to be heard? The hardest part was that he could he could be really sweet when things were good. He could make you laugh, talk softly, and promise that he cared. Those good moments made you think the bad ones would eventually go away. You kept waiting for the version of him you saw on the happy days to stick around. Instead, the circle kept going. Whenever you brought up something that hurt you, he did bring up your mistakes. He did change the subject and talked about anything except the real issue. By the time the conversation was over, you had almost forgotten why you were upset in the first place. All you could think about was trying to make up for his disappointment in you. Months went by, and you slowly started losing confidence in yourself. You questioned your memory, you questioned your feelings. Sometimes you even wondered if you were just expecting too much from the relationship. You started being afraid of your own emotions because every tear made you feel weak instead of understanding or instead of being understood. Your family started asking if everything was okay. Your closest friends noticed you didn't smile the way you used to. They saw you making excuses for someone who kept hurting you. They reminded you that the conflict, the confident person they once knew, seems to be fading away. Then one evening, something clicked. After another painful argument, you sat alone and thought back on every conversation you have ever forgotten. For the first time, you saw the pattern. Every time you got hurt, The focus shifted from your pain to his feelings. Every time you asked for understanding, you ended up apologizing instead. It wasn't just one random moment, it had happened again and again and again. That realization changed everything. You stop blaming yourself for every little thing. You stop thinking that staying quiet will save the relationship. You realize that peace built on fear isn't really peace at all. A healthy relationship would make both people feel safe enough to speak honestly without one person carrying all the blame. The next time you shared how you felt, you stayed you the next time you shared how you felt. You stayed calm. You explained your pain without attacking him or raising your voice. And once again, he tried to flip the conversation. Once again, he wanted you to feel guilty for speaking up. But this time, you didn't take the blame for something that wasn't yours. You just repeated what you had already said. You refused to argue about things that weren't true. You refused to apologize just to make the conversation end. For the first time in a long time, you protected your own peace instead of covering for someone else's excuses. That wasn't easy. It hurts, but you had spent so long thinking love meant putting up everything without complaining. But you finally understood that make you love should never make you lose your voice. As time went on, your confidence slowly came back. You started trusting your own judgment again. You laughed more. You slept better. That constant guilt felt started to fade because you weren't carrying things that didn't belong to you anymore. The biggest lesson wasn't about changing him, it was about changing how you saw yourself. You realized your feelings mattered, your voice mattered, your pain deserved to be heard, not brushed off. Sometimes the greatest things you can do is talking, stop taking the blame of someone else's decisions. The moment you refuse to carry guilt that isn't yours is the moment healing really starts. And when that happens, you realize something beautiful. You have never had to become someone else to deserve love. You just had to remember your worth and what you are worth.